All right. So Brett, we were just talking, man. The last 2 days we've had a pretty good experience, man. I've gone 0 for 12, Brett. 0 for 12 the last 2 days. And I'm probably the most fired up person on the Zoom this morning. I got another appointment here in 25 minutes. And my goal is to see how many times I can go 0 for 12 before everybody else. Fired up, man.
Man, good to see everybody here this morning. And look, going 0 for 12, believe it or not, is normal. It's normal. Like, it's the craziest thing, right? I think John Kite actually just made a post about this the other day where he had talked about a new agent who, this was a while back, a new agent had gone something like 8 for 8. And, right out of the gate, just had like a really good streak coming out of the gate. And then like Barry turned to him and said, but let's see how he does once he goes 0 for 8, right? Because it's easy when you're winning. It's real easy when you're winning. And everybody you're talking to just seems to be like, listen, I need insurance. I like you. I'm looking for an opportunity here to get a policy that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. I like how you presented it, and I'm ready to go. And so, we get those. They come actually more often than not. But then we also get the complete opposite of that, where it makes sense. The price is right. You've covered all of you dotted your I's, you crossed your T's, you found the pain, you got them to tell you why they need the coverage. You transitioned perfectly. You did the 3-option close. You took it away from them. Like, everything in the appointment was done perfectly. They definitely don't have any coverage. This makes all the sense in the world. And then they do nothing, right? They do nothing, right? So you get one end of the spectrum all the way completely on the other end of the spectrum. And so it's kind of like we're looking for the people who are in the middle, right? Obviously, we're always looking for the people who are open-minded, who are, a little bit happier people, who understand the value of what it is that you're talking to them about. But at the same time, you got to be prepared for the other end of the spectrum, for the people who, again, they don't have any good reason other than, oh, we just need to think about it. Well, what do you need to think about? Well, we're just not sure yet. Well, what are you not sure of? Well, we're just not sure of what we're not sure of, right? And so it's like you're going through all of everything that you've been taught, basically, everything that you've been trained to do. It's like you're hitting on all cylinders, and yet you still can't get this couple to move to do a policy, even though deep down in your heart, that they need it. So it's like, it's not virtual. Mike went 0 for 12 on virtual, which, I guess, whoever's been doing it the longest, Kyle or Christian, I don't know if you guys have ran into any streaks like that yourselves. I don't know if you guys have talked about that here over the last couple of days. Yeah.
Hey, Brett, I've gone 0 for 16 face-to-face, so I've got a better record face-to-face than virtual.
Listen, I got you beat, buddy. So here's the tie-in to this story. So, I want to say about 4 or 5, probably closer to 5 years ago, in the final expense space, I used to drive. I live out about 30 minutes west of Philadelphia, down by the city. And I used to run leads that were out in like 2.5, 3 hours away from my house, that was in the mountains. It's called the Pocono Mountains, out by like the Pocono Raceway. And I even remember sometimes being out there and having no cell phone service, and like not having a GPS and not being able to get from house to house. And back then, what I would do is I would try to schedule as many appointments as I could. And then I would go door knock for 2 days. So I'd go and I'd stay in a hotel, and I'd go door knock. And usually I'd come back and I'd have somewhere between 12 to 15 applications over the course of 2 days. And I went through a streak where I went 0 for 31. And I'll never forget being 0 for 31, because here's what happened. I started out my day and I had a couple appointments and I just couldn't get a sale. Like, no matter what I did, I couldn't get the sale. So then I was like, okay, no big deal. I've got this many leads here with me for the next couple days. I'm going to go door knock on my lunchtime. I'll make a couple calls. If I decide to end a little bit early, I'll make more calls tonight to set up my next day. Well, over the course of that first day, with sits and door knocks, I had more people tell me no to my face. I had more people not move forward with getting a policy that I had appointments with. And I had more people nod home just in that very first day than I probably had the last 7 or 8 months. So in my mind, I'm going, okay, we all have days like this. And I think that first day I had gone something like 0 for 17 or 0 for 18, because even on a Saturday, I could go out and hit 20 doors on a Saturday between 10 a.m. and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I could go hit 20 doors as long as my leads were always within, let's say, 45 minutes of each other. Where this was out in the country, everything was a little spread out, but everything was together, if that makes sense. And so the next day I went out, and I think I only had 1 or 2 appointments scheduled. And by 3 in the afternoon, I had gone 0 for 30 by that next day. Like, I started early. And if I tell you how frustrated, now when I say frustrated, I mean, I was literally like, I'm sure it was coming out in some of like my conversations at that point. I'm sure, like, somebody who told me, no, I'm not interested at the door. I'm sure, it came out. And so I did one more knock. I always believed in the magic of go do one more. If you make one more call at night, if you go and you do one more door knock, like, there was nights where I would be so tired and so disgusted with what I was doing, like disgusted with myself. Like, how could I go home and drive home tonight without an application? And there's the magic in go do one more. I remember times when I'd be like, okay, if I make a right-hand turn here, this will take me on a back road back to my house. But if I keep going straight, that's going to put me onto I-95, and I'm going to go about 20 minutes south away from where I'm supposed to be going home. But I still have this one more lead left that I haven't yet knocked. And I get the sale. It's like every time you got it, every time you got the sale, there's always magic in doing one more. All right, so I'm like 0 for 30, and I'm like, I'm going to go do one more. This is going to be it. This is my magic. This is going to break the streak. And at least I won't go home empty-handed after 2 days. And I went 0 for 31. And I literally drove back home 2.5, 3 hours, however long it took me, after 2 days, empty-handed. And I was frustrated. Now, you want to talk about probably wanting to quit the business back then. You want to talk about like leaving your family for 2.5 days. You want to talk about the frustration, being out in the woods, just you're by yourself, right? There's nobody around. There's nobody to talk to. There was no virtual. There really was no upline. It was just you and the leads, like literally. Okay. And you're thinking to yourself, like, why am I doing this? And I know that we have similar thoughts here on virtual. Why do I do what I'm doing? Why am I putting in this effort? Why am I letting the person on the other end of the phone just completely, be ignorant in how they're even talking back to me about me following up on this information? Like, you start asking yourselves, why am I doing all these things? And then if you're developed, if you're self-developed, then you'll understand that the reason why you're doing it is for whatever personal reason. That's number one. Whatever your personal reason is, it has to be something larger than money. So it has to be something, well, I need to make an extra $500, or I need to make an extra $1,000, or I'm trying to hit 6 figures this year, whatever your why is. It has to be something larger than that. That took me a long time to figure out, because for a while, I always just did the business for money. To be honest with you, like in the beginning, 9 years ago when I got started, I did the business for because it was like, I need to make money. I quit my job. I was making $125,000 working at Kaplan Higher Education Corporation. I left my job. My wife had just had our first child. I was doing credit card processing. I was doing network marketing. And I was having moderate success in both. I was doing well enough to make close to 6 figures between the two. And then insurance got introduced to me. And I'm like, huh, in 1 hour, walking up to someone's door, knocking on their door, walking in and selling them a final expense policy for 60, 70 bucks a month, I'm making more doing that in 1 hour than I am 5 hours out prospecting, going door to door, business to business, scooping up credit card processing clients, which was great residual income, but it was 5 hours, sometimes in the summertime, B2B, going door to door. And I did this every single day. Then at nights, right, it was go do meetings and training for network marketing and go living room to living room and show an opportunity and get people to sign up. But I didn't make money doing that. You don't get paid to do that. So insurance was like, man, I can make some fast money here. I can make a lot of money doing this. So figure out what your why is, because back then it was about making money. Today it's about integrity, and it's what keeps me in the game. And so figure out what your why is. Here's the second thing that you really want to identify. Here's the second thing you want to identify. You want to identify, who are you in this business? Like, who are you? Are you a salesperson? Are you a consultant? Are you a business owner? Is this just part of your business practice? Like, look at the bigger picture of what we're doing here. Is it just about sales? And if it is, great. Because at the end of the day, this is, in a sense, sales. Even though you can't sell somebody a life insurance policy, they have to sell you on the need and why they need it. But figure out who you are in this business. And I think the third thing would be, from a self-development standpoint, is what are you, like, honestly, what are you doing to keep yourself in the game when you have an 0 for 12 streak, when you go 0 for 31? Because I easily could have quit. And Mike could easily just go, look, I'm making great money. The team is growing. We're helping a lot of people become successful. Do I really need to put myself going possibly 0 for 16, 0 for 20? And Mike, I'm not wishing that on you at any point whatsoever. But the point is, it's like, right, well, like what is keeping you in this game? What's keeping you doing it? Because we see people, right? We see people come and go in this industry, not so much in this company. This company has a pretty nice retention rate, but in the industry, you see people come and go. And so just kind of figure that out for yourself, because your streak is coming, good or bad. Your streak where you go 10 for 10, 15 for 15, 25 for 25, it's coming. It's coming. That other streak is coming too. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that streak's coming as well. And it could come like this. It could go where you go 3 for 3 and then 0 for 3. And then you go 1 for 2 and then you go 0 for 4. Then you go 7 for 7 and then you go 0 for 10. And you're like, dude, I don't understand what's going on. Now that kind of streak, that typically should not happen. And if it does, it's only happening to brand new people who just haven't quite yet figured out exactly how to do virtual, or exactly how to make a connection with a client, or exactly how to find the pain, or exactly how to go through all 8 core transitions. One of the biggest things that I see people miss is the afterthought. It's not the process that we go through with the client. It's the 48 hours after. It's that 48 hours after you've now hung up with the client and they've now had a chance to talk to the neighbor when they went out to take the trash. Right after you just hung up the virtual call, they go out to take the trash. They just explain to their neighbor a little bit about what they just went through with you on the virtual. And the neighbor goes, hey, listen, before you do anything, you should talk to my guy down there over at State Farm. He helped me get my homeowners. He helped us get our car insurance. And then he got us a great rate on some life insurance. How much did this guy quote you? Oh, well, he quoted me such and such for this face amount. Oh, I've got more than that, and it's cheaper than that. Yeah, you should go down there. Go talk to my guy down there at the State Farm office, right? So in between this time, now you're getting a policy approved. And then what you forgot to do is you forgot to call the person back in 48 hours later, like you told them you would. And now during that 48-hour time frame, they had an opportunity to go talk to Bob down at State Farm. And Bob said, oh yeah, no, I can get you a better rate. I can get you more coverage for less money. But what Bob forgot to or didn't mention was that he doesn't have any benefits in his insurance policy. That's why it's so cheap. Cheap doesn't necessarily mean better. But what did we do? We called Bob back a week later. Hey, Bob, listen, carrier has an additional question, wanted to know about a medication. Bob, and your client goes, oh, no, listen, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I decided to go in a different direction, but I thank you for your time. Click. And then all of a sudden you're like, what happened? Because you missed that 48-hour window. If you tell somebody you're going to call them back in 48 hours, call them back in 48 hours. If you say 3 o'clock on Tuesday, call them back 3 o'clock on Tuesday. Whatever time you have arranged, be a man and a woman of your word, because that's how you started the conversation originally with your client. You set the tone, you told them what was going to happen, you did what you said you were going to do throughout the appointment, you closed the appointment, and now you have one more opportunity to still be a man and a woman of your word and tell them exactly what's going to happen next. But I see that a lot. I see people say that they're going to do something, and then what happens? The day gets in the way, they forgot, and then they never call the client back. Or if they do, it's too late. So that's it. It's just another way just to kind of tie it down and keep it solid for yourself. So, this is the business that we're in here. And look, if it was easy, everybody would do it. My wife just spent the last 5 days reminding me of that. Because just like I just got done explaining to you how we all just kind of go through these waves. Look, as business builders, as distribution builders, as CEOs of our own company, I'm the CEO of Sozo Capital Partners, Trustworthy Financial. Okay, everybody has, their business entity. I saw Kyle just went ahead and just put together his business entity the other day. We just talked about it. And so, it's about how serious do you want to take this? Because what's the alternative? The alternative is you can go build somebody else's dream. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with helping others build their dream as well. It's not my makeup. It's not, I don't think it's anybody else's makeup in wanting to go out there and be an hourly or salary employee and go build somebody else's dream for them. But look, we need people like that in the world. That's just not our world. We raised our hand and we said, hey, listen, I want to be independent. I want to go out there and crush this for myself and for my family. See, that's the bigger why now. That's the bigger why. The bigger why is I don't want my wife to hear, but it's like, I'm looking at property in Florida, right? Because she refuses to move. But I know that if I can get this business to a certain level, I can go get myself a place in Florida and I can go disappear a few weeks out of the month, right? Okay, I just don't want her to hear because she's not in alignment with it yet. Not yet, but it's coming, okay? It's why every few months I go down to Florida. I'm like, hey, why don't you come with us? Let's enjoy our time down there, right? So, yep. Well, listen, she's in the other room. She's not going to know about any of this, so it's all good. Look, at the end of the day, this business is not easy, right? My call says it. There's one thing I can guarantee: it's a hard time, right? There's going to be people that are going to hang up on you. Today's the day that we dial some older leads, right? There's going to be people that just are having a bad day. And they're going to take it out sometimes on you over the phone, or it's just going to be a weird conversation when you get them on video. And you almost have to just like block them out, like just get rid of the noise and just do what it is that you're meant to do, which is go out there and help people. Because rest assured, there are people out there. There are people out there who want your help. There's people in all over the country, right? There's people in Pittsburgh. There's people in Ohio. You got people in Indiana. There's people in Texas. There's people all over the country. Wherever you live, in the city, state, and county that you live in, I can rest assure you, guaranteed, there are people who want your help. We just have to sort through them and find out who they are. And when you do, and when you identify who those people are, not only have you done a good deed by putting people in a better position, but you've also put yourself and your family in a really good position, because we get paid some of the highest commissions in all of sales professions in the life insurance industry, in the insurance industry. And look, things are going to happen. I'll leave you with this. My last day when I just got back, I had a client who's been my client for the last 4 years. I helped her daughter off of a mortgage protection lead. Her daughter was 21 years old. I went out and saw her on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. in Levittown, PA. Back then, I lived in Collegeville, so that was an hour away. I drove out to Levittown. I met with this 21-year-old bartender. She was a sharp girl, 21, and I gave her an IUL actually. She had a little bit of a lower mortgage, and what she wanted to put into a retirement plan made sense. So instead of giving her straight term life with living benefits, I gave her an IUL with living benefits because I wanted to give this young lady an opportunity to start saving for her retirement as a bartender. Okay, so through the ERS system, she referred me to her mom and dad. They were separated. I went and saw the dad. He already had an IUL, which is ironic. And he had a pretty decent one with a really good company. So there really wasn't a whole lot I was going to be able to do for him. I let him know I was going to see his ex-wife. I asked for any tips or any pointers that I should know prior to going to see her. And, he was very gentlemanly about it and spoke very highly of his ex-wife. And so that was really nice. So I went and I saw her and her new boyfriend at the time. I went and sat down with them. I took care of their term life with living benefits. And then I also put together an IUL for her. And for him, he just wanted a whole bunch of life insurance. Okay. Fast forward, I come to Equus a few months ago, back in July. I come to Equus. She starts blowing up my phone. And she says, hey, we just bought a mountain house. And that first policy you did for him, we made his 4 daughters the beneficiary. But now I want a policy on him in case anything happens. We just bought this mountain house. Can we get him another life insurance policy? Now you got to remember now he's a couple years older. He's still a smoker, but he was never really in bad health. He had no medical history. So I wrote him up with GPM. We put him into the Alliance program. And that happened back in, I think that was like August or September. And 2 days ago, she texted me and she's calling me. And I'm like, Deanna, I said, what's the emergency? I'm on vacation. And she said, David passed away. And I'm like, David's 58 years old. I just delivered the policy to you guys in September. And we just had like this long conversation. We talked about he's an electrician. He owns an electrician business. You guys just bought another mountain house. Like, you guys are good. Like, she's like, we went up to the mountain house. We came back. I dropped him off at his house. He was spending the night with his granddaughter. And woke up the next day. The granddaughter found him. So obviously, I got to take her through that process of filing a claim and doing that sort of thing. So, look, at the end of the day, again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. We get paid a lot of money to do what we do. But it's times like this, when you're going to get that text, you're going to get that call, that you know that you've done the right thing for people. And I don't know if you can necessarily say that when you're selling a widget, when you're selling another service. I don't know if you're going to have the same type of feeling, when somebody, calls you up and says, hey, listen, so-and-so just had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, and they wind up getting a check, a few weeks later, and it possibly saves them from going into foreclosure, or it saves them from going into bankruptcy. So just understand, let that why be bigger than you. Let that why be bigger than just making money, and figure out why you're, who you are in this business, probably most importantly. So, Mike, turn over to you, sir.
You know what, man, what a great subject for today. And I loved your points, man. The most important thing, the one thing that John Kites talked to me about a lot over the years that I've really never understood was that the why is more important than the how. And I never really understood that. It's like, how does that even make sense? I've got to know what I'm doing or I'm not going to be able to get it done. And it just clicks, because if your why is, or if you're tied strong enough emotionally to your why, then you're going to figure out the how, right? The only place that emotion belongs in this business is when we're speaking with clients. I mean, what Brett just described, what you just went through, I tell people all the time that I don't believe that you're really in the business until you get your first death claim, until you talk to that person and you understand that that person is living and breathing and talking, and that you helped them and that you made a difference in their family. this is one of those things that we talk about all the time where talent doesn't matter. What matters is heart and work ethic. What matters is numbers. We say it all the time that it's a numbers game. So I find it funny when people get all upset about a no-show or about a no sale. I mean, I had some people this week, Brett, that exactly the way you described it. I mean, they were healthy. They screamed that they needed it and didn't see value in protecting the entire mortgage for $50 a month with 4 young kids under the age of 12, right? It's just like, we can explain it to people, but we can't understand it for them. We can't make anyone do anything. All we can control is our attitude and our activity. And we can't get upset when someone else doesn't see it. You know, we've got to get better at providing the value. People buy when they see value. I've got to get better at providing the value for them to understand and see that so that they choose to buy, right? We've got to hone our skill set. We've got to practice. We've got to become that gym rat and jump in and get better at it, you know? And, you know, to be honest with you, I don't think this week could have gone better for me, because I think it would have had a negative effect if I would have went 12 for 12. I want each of you to see me go 0 for 12, to see how I react when that happens, to see if I get back on the horse, to see if I pull some sales out of it, or do I tuck my head in between my legs and run, right? So I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And I'm glad that I can publicly do this and let you guys see it, because it's just numbers. This business has changed my life to a level that people won't ever understand. And I remember when I first got involved in this business, dialing was the most terrifying thing I've ever done. All right, let's get after it.